Research Basics video, we'll be discussing the beginnings of descriptive statistics. In this video, we'll cover averages, also called the measures of central tendency. An average is the one value that best represents an entire group of scores. It doesn't matter whether the group of scores represents the number correct on a statistics exam for 60 undergraduate students, or if it is the proportion of people who report whether or not they are for or against capital punishment. A big group of data can be summarized using an average. You can usually think of an average as the middle space or as a fulcrum on a seesaw. It's the point in a range of values that seems to most fairly represent all of the values. The mean is the most common type of average that is computed. It is so popular that scientists sometimes sloppily treat the word average as if it means mean, where it only sometimes means mean. The mean is simply the sum of all of the values in a group divided by the number of values in that group. So we're about to take a look at our very first formula for this class. Don't let that freak you out. Equations or formulas are just statements or sentences that use symbols instead of words. In statistics, the symbols are either Roman or Greek. So let's talk a little bit about the mean. When we are taking a look at an equation, we use x bar. This x with a line above it, called x bar, is the mean value of the group of scores. The Greek letter sigma is the summation sign. This tells you to add up or sum up whatever follows it. X is each individual score in a group of scores, and the lowercase n is the size of the sample from which you are computing the mean, the number of scores. So to compute the mean, you're going to list an entire set of values in one or more columns. These are all the x's. Then you'll compute the sum, then divide the total, or the sum, by the number of values. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's say we are examining the monthly population of 3 different jails. Jail number 1 has a population of 2,150 residents. Jail number 2 has 1,534 residents. Number 3 has 3,564 residents. Now, these are our x's. This is just telling us how big our sample is, and we know it's 3. So let's go ahead and add up all of these x's. Later, you add the 2,150, 1,534, 3,564, and your sum of all x is 7,248. Again, here's our sample size. So we'll take that 7,248, divide by 3, and the mean, or x bar, of the jail population in 1 month across these 3 jails is 2,416. Pretty simple, right? We're going to take a look at the median. As a measure of central tendency, the median is exactly the middle number in a list of values. So to compute the median, you're going to put whatever scores you have in order. You can do ascending to descending, descending to ascending. You just need them to be in order. Say that we have the following 5 values, and these values all have to do with the amount of money spent on a prisoner every year across 5 different states. So the first amount is $135,456. The second is $25,500. The third is $54,365. Then we have $32,456, and finally $37,668. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is put these in order. We want to go ahead and take the centermost value once we have them in order. 1, 2 above, 1, 2 below. Here's our median. Not too hard, right? Now, why would we use a median instead of a mean? Median is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and compute the mean value, just like we did a minute ago. The first thing that we'll do is write our formula. Mean equals sum of all x's divided by n. So let's go ahead. We can add up all of these values. 285,445 divide by the n, which again is just the number of values that we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our mean dollar amount spent on prisoners across 5 states is $57,089. Now here's the question. Which measure of central tendency, the median or the mean, seems to best represent the list of dollar values? 37,668, our median, or our mean, 57,089? If you answered the median, you're correct. Hooray! Why is the median a better measure here? Because we have extreme values. This 135,456 is much higher than at least 3 of the values, and this 25,000 is quite a bit lower than at least our top 2 values. So because we have extreme values, it kind of skews the measure of central tendency if we're using the mean. It makes it look like across these 5 states, more money is spent on average per prisoner than what's really representative of the data that we have. We have extreme values, a number that's particularly higher than most of the values in your data, or a number that's much, much lower. You want to take advantage of the median because that allows you to virtually exclude those really high or really low numbers. And last measure of central tendency that we'll cover is the mode. This is the most general and the least precise measure of central tendency, but it plays a really important part in understanding characteristics of a sample of scores. The mode is the value that occurs most frequently. Like the median, there is no real formula for computing the mode. To compute the mode, you're going to follow 3 steps. You'll list all of the values in a distribution, but list each value only one time. Then tally the number of times that each value occurs. The value that occurs most often is the mode. So let's take a look at this. We have some survey data, and you've asked, 10 people whether or not they would vote for the death penalty in their state. You only give them 3 options, just for the sake of this example. And you have vote, not vote, and unsure. Will be nominal level data. And people are told to select either a 1, a 2, or a 3. It's not that the 1 is more important than the 3, so it's not really ordered. It's just that these numbers are acting as placeholders for us. Back. There is what your data look like. Now, to compute the mode, we need to figure out which measure, 1, 2, or 3, occurs most often among these 10 people. So, all I have to do is say, all right, number 1s, how many of those do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many number 2s? 1, 2, 3. And we have 2 number 3s. Let's double check and make sure that this is my total sample. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome. And it looks like the mode, the value that occurs most frequently among these 10 people is 1, and that is a vote. Now, we've talked about measures of central tendency. There's really 3 flavors. You have the mean, the median, and the mode. The least precise is the mode, and the mode is really the measure of central tendency that makes sense if your data are nominal level data, meaning they're categorical. So think about eye color. Be in a classroom, try to discuss the mean or the median of eye color. That really doesn't make sense, but we could talk about the mode, the most often category or color of eyes in our classroom. The median is great when we have continuous data and we have any extreme values. That allows us to take the center of the data and kind of ignore any really extremely high or low values in our data. And finally, we have the mean, which is the sum of all of our individual observations divided by the sample. Stay tuned for part 2.